Welcome to Great American Collectibles Show, brought to you each week by the National Sports Collectors Convention. Join us every Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and get the latest news from the greatest experts in the sports collectibles world. You can watch us on the Great American Collectibles Facebook page, as well as YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. And now your hosts, award-winning sports collectibles author Tom Zappola and Boston sports media personality John Mallory.
Hey, my man, how are you, bro?
What's up, buddy? How's it going?
Good. What's going on with you?
You're home.
I am home.
That's awesome.
We got home on Sunday.
I
Had
love
a
it.
nice flight, not too bad.
Goes by. Does it go by fast? Seems like it goes by fast.
Nah, actually,
Uh-huh.
we were ready to come home. 3.5 months.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yep.
We had
It's
a
good.
pleasant, very easy flight home. Very easy.
Nice.
Although we almost got bumped by Air Force One, and the pilot. We had a full plane. No, I'm serious. The pilot
Wow.
said, "Look, everybody's here. So if we don't leave now, we're going to get stuck on the tarmac for another hour and 20 minutes."
Yikes.
So we got the hell out before him. So,
Wow.
it's good.
And I see you have your Red Sox hat on with one sock.
Well,
One
John,
one
this is-
sock for every run they score in a game.
John, this is a throwback hat.
I know what it is. I know hats.
Yeah,
Okay, I know
all right.
hats.
I'm just
This
making
is a
the point.
throwback hat. This is when they were World Series champions 7 years ago. So.
Exactly. Welcome to the Great American Collectible Show. Tom Zapp and my good friend and co-host JM John Mallory. John is recording from parts unknown. He won't tell us where he is. I suspect that he could be in one of several places, but we're not going to get into that. But I'll just keep that quiet. We've got a great show. We got our good pal, Executive Vice President of Heritage Auctions, former CEO of this and that, PSA, SGC, STP, all of that stuff.
He's
Our
been
good
hired
friend-
and fired for more jobs than Billy Martin.
Joe Orlando. Welcome, Joseph.
Hey, you guys, Tom, you forgot star of stage and screen.
That's right.
right. Actually, I have
Good.
seen you. I have seen you dance.
Also, Bon Vivant, Raconteur, and Men About Town.
Right. And then another good friend of ours from Chicago, Illinois, Jeff Marrin from Rockhurst Auctions. He is the Elvis guy. I call him the Elvis guy.
He is the Elvis guy.
Jeff, did you know Elvis personally? Did you ever meet him?
No, he passed away when I was 9, Tom. But
It's
I know
not that
you
don't look
tried
at
to
him.
meet him. But
Actually, you laugh, but I can remember the day he died. I was at the beach, John. At
I
Salisbury
remember.
Beach.
Yeah.
I was at the beach at Salisbury Beach, and it was like
Yeah.
all over the news that he fell
Oh,
off.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
probably at the beach too. He died on my mother's birthday, August 16th.
yeah, August
Yeah.
16th. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to be cruel, but didn't he fall off his toilet seat or something?
Oh, come
He was
on.
upstairs in the house. I mean, I think
Come
that's all
on.
overblown that he was on the toilet.
Right.
He died in the
Exactly.
hallway, kind of between the bathroom
No.
and the toilet. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did. Jeff, what did you think of
He
that?
was off to a great start, Tom.
Wonderful opener, Sap. Wonderful. Usually toilet doesn't come up till the second
Yeah.
sec.
Yeah.
Jeff,
That's
what did
really
you
the
think of
second
what
half
did you
hour.
think of the movie? What were your thoughts on the movie?
I love the movie. I thought
It was great.
It was not a historical record by any stretch, but it was fun. And it was,
Yeah.
Baz Luhrmann makes poetry. Like his movies are they're just beautiful and they're poetic and crazy and electric. Gatsby, it was the same way. So it was really just sort of an impression. I couldn't, because I'm so immersed, it was hard to watch it a second time because then
Right.
the timeline issues all started to really be glaring. But I enjoyed it. I thought the actor was great who played Elvis. So
Yeah, it really
fun.
was. Joe, did you see that movie, the Elvis movie?
I have been watching nothing but Bluey for the last 8. I'm looking forward to an adult flick.
Been there, Joe. Been there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've all been there. Except when my kids were little, it was oh Christ, it was Cabbage Patch something or other, and I don't know, it was all kinds of stuff. Well, anyways, Jeff, you've got an auction. Give us the details on the auction, please.
Yeah, we've got our big spring auction coming up April 30th, May 1st. It's always a day of sports, cards, autographs, game used equipment, uniforms, that kind of stuff. And then day two is always entertainment, Elvis, Beatles, Hollywood, even some historical stuff. Of course, in the summer, we have our big live auction down in Memphis during Elvis Week. They structure Elvis Week around the 16th in August down there. It's a 10-day festival. So we do a big live auction in town, and that's
Where do you do
usually
that
high.
from?
Yeah.
Where do you do
I'm
that
sorry.
auction? Where do you
I
do the
usually do
auction?
it at the Peabody Hotel,
Okay.
and we do a live auction. You can bid online, the whole thing, and we have all the material down on display in Memphis at a convention down there for about a
How
week
is it? Do you get
beforehand.
get big crowds for that, Jeff?
Yeah, that it's Elvis Week is crazy still. It's
Yeah, I'll bet. I mean,
thousands of people. Yeah,
yeah, probably
hotels book
from
up.
all
Yeah,
over too, right? I mean, they're
yeah,
coming in from everywhere. Yeah.
yeah. He's got a huge contingent of fans in Northern Europe and England and
You know,
all over South America. So yeah, they come in from all over the world.
I've asked the question before, Jeff, on the show about, the big whatever 4, 5, 6 of vintage cards. Whether it's Ruth, Gehrig,
Hmm.
the classics, and Elvis. There's a few people in the entertainment field. Elvis. I'm gonna throw Sinatra out there. You know what I mean? That just have, it's going to be eternal. It's
Right.
never going to end. And the people who are Elvis fans, like you, who met him when you were 9, um, pre-show joke there.
Yeah, yeah,
That they don't end because there's new generations of Elvis fans that keep coming, right? I mean, that's
yeah.
just very unique.
Yeah, people ask me that all the time. Do you think it's going to be sustainable? Is it going to keep going? And what I've seen, I've been working around Graceland for about 10 years now. And, you know, the site itself has become like the St. Louis Arch. Like everybody's got to put it on
Yeah,
their bucket list. Everyone's got to go at least once. So it's reached that status where it'll maintain itself as a tourist attraction. And I do see collectors coming into the field, probably not unlike Joe's seen in the baseball field. We've both seen over the last few decades. It always seems like there's this old section of bidders and collectors, and they're going to age out. And then lo and behold, some new version of it comes up from below, and I
right.
see that in rock and roll and Hollywood collectibles as well. I see people coming in younger and younger every year. In the Elvis world, there was a reference to the blue hairs, the old, the
Yeah,
50s fans. They're all pretty much gone now. But then, I grew up in a household where my brother was a 70s fan. Like people who were in high school in the 70s, they were, he was still touring and he was still a big deal. So I kind
right.
of grew up in a household with Elvis. And I just thought it was normal. So
And the
there's,
thing is,
yeah,
his music lingers too, whether it's on
of
radio
course, yeah.
Oh,
stations
it's
or
timeless. It's pretty
yeah,
timeless.
or
It
streaming,
is.
whatever. It's just never ends. So
Jeff, it's interesting because I have a 15-year-old granddaughter and a 13-year-old grandson that them and all of their friends, they are really, really into 70s music. As a matter of
Sure.
fact, it's funny how the record players are coming back. I asked my granddaughter what she wanted for her birthday, and she gave us a list of about 8 or 10 albums, like
Right.
Abbey Road, Crosby, Stills and National, that type of stuff. So I found that to be pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Although it may say something about today's music also. Uh, Jeff, what are some of the highlights of the auction, the upcoming auction?
It's a pretty big card auction. We've sort of been specializing the last few years in really finding new to the hobby raw collections, and it's been another good sale for that. So we've got a fresh set of Gaudis that just came in that hadn't been seen in 50 years,
A complete set?
and yeah, complete set. And
Wow.
the Ruths and the Garricks will be in this
wow,
auction, and the remainder will be in the next auction. So that was kind of exciting. Yeah, and there were other 30s pre-war gum cards. I had a really interesting card collection that came in from a Chicago collector that was in Florida, coincidentally. Um, but he was a Chicago type card collector, which wasn't, on the surface doesn't sound that interesting when you're thinking about 50s, 60s, 70s tops, but he went all the way back. So the type cards go all the way back, all the way through the pre-war sets, Diamond Stars,
Wow.
Gaudis, all the
wow.
T cards, T3s, even some of the strip card sets. He goes all the way back. So it turned into a really interesting card collection. A lot of pieces I haven't seen in a long time, and those some of those issues. And then we always have a huge autograph contingent in the auction. We have a lot of autograph collectors and people we deal with, and we're getting kind of known for that. Got a nice Ruth Ball in the auction. Um, And yeah, so it should be a pretty good sale. It should be
Now, you
interesting.
two guys, you and Joe, you guys go back a few years, huh? Joe and Jeff?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I've been working in the business since the late '90s, and Joe predates me. So yeah, we've interacted quite a bit over the years.
Joe, was he a pain in the ass? Or was he Joe?
Oh, jeez.
Stuff on
Don't
advertising.
ask him that.
Jeff,
Question for
go ahead.
both you guys.
Go ahead.
Do you find, because Joe, you work for a big outfit with Heritage, who that they also do beyond sports, they do entertainment, whatever. Is there crossover in terms of the audience? You know, are sports fans also music and entertainment fans? Both you guys can comment on that.
Sure. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of crossover, especially as it relates to the type of icons that you were mentioning earlier. I mean, when it's Elvis and Marilyn Monroe and the Beatles, and you keep going down the line. I mean, there's a lot of crossover. As a matter of fact, we actually, even though we have other divisions, we have historical, we have entertainment, pop culture, we will run iconic sort of non-sports collectibles in the sports auction because that's how much crossover there is, and they perform really well. And we actually keep, at Heritage, because we have all of these different categories, we actually keep data on this. For example, how many of our clients have won items in more than one category, and the percentage is much higher. It's actually closing in on 50%.
Wow.
Of our database
That's
has
crazy.
bought something in more than one category, which basically tells the whole story.
Yeah, and I think that what you got to remember is that collectors collect. And that's what I've always said about, even things like a Lincoln document. Like that's something anybody can want. Like anybody looking at an auction who's an actual collector and has the means, obviously, can look at that and be like, oh, yeah, I need one of those. I need to have that.
Yeah,
And
good
vice
point.
versa. I mean, I have super high-end rock and roll collectors that have sports collections that are just 8 or 10 or 12 iconic pieces. A 32 Yankee ball, something like that, one uniform. And it goes the other way too with and it's why we run um, our auctions the way we do with a 2-day format to this point, because we want that cross population of the bidders looking at both days and seeing all the different materials. So yeah, no, collectors collect. That's sort of what drives that,
Very
the
cool.
personal level.
Jeff, what is your website address?
Rockhurstauctions.com.
And it starts again and ends when?
It ends on April 30th and May 1st. It'll start in about a week.
All right, so that's a quick auction, and we wish you the best. And we are going to see you in Chicago. Or at least I'll see you in Chicago. Mallory's out, Rico's out, so I'll be there. Ellen and
Yeah,
I will
thanks
be
so much. Look forward to seeing you.
there. All right,
Jeff,
Jeffrey.
I would really like it if you wore one of the Elvis white suits.
Oh my God, I tried to put one
from the
on.
mid 70s.
You
Yeah.
did.
I've
Yeah.
sold several. I can't touch the
Yeah.
ones when I worked at Graceland, but I've sold several. I couldn't get one leg into one of those jumpsuits. I'm about
Alrighty.
6'3", so yeah.
Thanks, Jeff. Nice chatting with you.
Good
Thanks,
to talk
guys.
to you,
Be good.
Jeff.
Take care. Jeff Marrin from Rockhurst Auctions. Good guy. Good
He's
guy.
one of the good ones, isn't he? He's a good.
Yeah,
guy.
he's, you know what it is? I say this all the time. You can tell the guys that know what we're all about versus, you know what I mean?
Well,
like
you always
he
use the
gets it.
term. I was just about to say,
He
you
gets it.
always use the
He
term.
gets it.
He gets it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, if you can't make fun of yourself, don't make fun of anyone.
And if
you
you
know.
can't make fun of people behind their back, then what good is life?
All right. You are killing me.
What? Did you just get a note? What happened?
Yeah, I do. I did. So you guys talk.
Swooped in and
No, let me tell you what happened here. So, like, evidently there was a mix-up because there's a guy. Sit tight. I'm going to say sit
Oh my God.
tight. So here's the deal. So I have a really cool e-bike, and I thought the guy was coming tomorrow to service it, but evidently he's outside of my garage. So I have to text my wife to go let him in to service my bike. But so you can ask a few
Oh,
questions.
this is like your bicycle?
Yeah.
Your bicycle. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Great. Well, Joe, let's let's get back to the show. This wasn't in
you lost me there for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. This part wasn't in rehearsal, so we're gonna have to roll with this while Tom gets his bike fixed. because he's going to be out by 5 for his
You
paper
cut me
route.
some slack
He's
here.
got his paper route. He's back home now, so he's got to deliver the newspaper. So let's talk a little bit about what's trending right now, Joe. What are you seeing at Heritage? What's coming in? What's going out? Are you guys very national focused right now? Just give us an overview.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the thing, it's always when you work in the auction business, when we have as many auctions as we do, every month. Certainly, there are different levels to the platforms we offer.
Yep.
It's a bit of a hamster wheel. There's stuff always coming through the pipeline, and that hasn't changed. I would say the one thing that I've really started to notice in the last, 6 months to a year is that it seems like we're in a cycle now where the baby boomer generation, which is really the generation that kind of started this whole thing in the 80s and driving this little niche hobby to another level,
Yes.
some of that stuff is really starting to break loose. And so the reason I would pay attention to it as a collector is that, for the guys that are really active today, sometimes we see the same things popping up in auction from time to time. There are a contingent of baby boomer collectors that were really active at one point, and then they stopped being active, but that stuff has been buried for decades. And we're starting to see some when I say fresh material, stuff that hasn't been on the auction block before, and we're seeing more of it now. So, if anything, I think as collectors, we're probably going to wish we had a little bit more play money in the next 3 to 5 years, but it's just
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, finish.
No, I was just going to say when you think about that kind of generational cycle, there's sort of the generational cycle as it relates to what's hot in the market right now, and then there's a generational cycle as far as who's leaving, the hobby, and you're
Yeah.
starting to see more of that generation, not necessarily sell everything, but they're starting to, guys that have been holding tight for a while, and you're starting to see some of that material break loose. So it's exciting, I think, as a collector, because you're going to see things that they're not the retreads. It's fresh to you. It's fresh to the auction block, and I think it's exciting.
So
those
just to
guys.
stay,
Go ahead,
Zap,
John.
just to stay with that quickly, Zap.
Yeah, I want to follow
because you
through.
mentioned, that the group of baby boomers that started things off, and I'm sort of in that group, sort of the tail end of baby boomers. But are you talking about items from that era as new stuff, meaning cards and items from the 70s and 80s? Or are you saying the people from that generation with more vintage stuff?
I'm saying people from the latter. So guys that
Gotcha.
have been,
Gotcha.
we're collecting a lot of great vintage material, and just have been sitting on it for a long
Gotcha.
time.
Right.
You're starting to see that stuff break loose, and again, that's exciting because as a collector, again, you're going to see some new material.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break so I can get my bike out of the garage. And
Really?
then what do you want from me?
It's not even, you know what? It's not even a show anymore.
No, hold on.
Let's see what Tom is doing today.
Before we take a break. All right. Now, it was an honest mistake on my part, Joe.
Wait a minute. If we take this break early, do I still get paid the same amount?
No.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, you do.
Then I have an issue.
It was an honest mistake on my part. We had a little communication breakdown. This guy is impossible to get a hold of because he has a traveling truck. So he comes to the house. He does house calls.
Super.
We're
Can
gonna
we
take
get
a
it? Can we
quick
get
break.
him to sponsor the show?
When we come back, though, here's a big surprise. When we come back, it is the AI Savant baseball tournament. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free, integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petrocelli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
With record-breaking sales from everything from the white border T206 Honus Wagner for $3.12 million to some great items that support the Jackie Robinson Foundation, Golden Auctions has set the highest standards for the finest in sports cards, autographs, and game-used memorabilia. We're always accepting consignments of high-end premium sports treasures or entire collections. Please register for our next auction and bid now at goldenauctions.com. That's golden with an I. We at Golden Auctions are committed to providing unsurpassed customer service for the discriminating collector. That's exactly why we're the leader in the industry. Visit goldenauctions.com or call 856-767-8550. Remember, Golden Auctions. We don't just break records, we shatter them.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back. And here's the difference between me, JM, and you. So during the commercial break, I not only got this guy to tune up my bike, but he's detailing my car.
It's
That's
awesome.
all I'm saying.
So
That's
good.
all I'm saying.
That's
Right?
so great. That's great. Here's the difference between me and you. I have a car, so I don't need a bike. And two, when it's showtime, I'm doing a show. All right. Although I did just send 6 emails out during that
It
break.
was one of those things. It was we had a little communication mix up, and this guy's tough to get. All right. Joe Orlando's with us.
Listen, as long as everything in your life is good, I'm happy.
Ellen's a little pissed at me, but we'll put that aside.
Oh, I like that too.
All right, Joe's in the house with us. Joe Orlando, executive vice president and good friend from Heritage Auctions.
We have Joe is like on the Mount Rushmore of the hobby.
Yeah, we had him there.
Yeah, he is.
But he voted himself off. No, I'm serious. Because when I went over the list with him, he says, "No, I don't belong there. I should be number five or six." No, he didn't say that.
I
I'm
think
just
he's
kidding.
top 4. He's
I'm
top
just
4.
kidding.
He's
No,
top 4.
he's definitely on the Mount
Right.
Rushmore. There is no doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt. All right. It is time for the Great American AI GAX Baseball Tournament, brought to us each week by our good friend Paul Borges and the staff at PB Collectables, your neighborhood card shop. Go to pbcollectables.com to purchase that special vintage card that you've been looking for. And by the way, big announcement coming up regarding PB Collectables.
Really?
He was involved with what we call in the hobby a find.
Ooh, nice. You always like that.
He's got a find, and they're calling it the Quincy find.
Like as in Quincy, Massachusetts?
Correct. As
Okay.
in John Quincy Adams,
Sam Adams.
Sam Adams, the wife. What the hell was her name? Martha Adams,
Mrs. Adams.
Mrs. Adams. All right. All right. Anyway.
Gomez
Anyway, so
Adams.
his big announcement
Gomez
coming next
Adams.
week. A nice treasure trove. All
That's
right.
nice. Good for him.
Last week in the Final Four, the first game, the 1927 Yankees beat the 1998 Yankees 6-5. Good game.
Close game.
This past week, we had the 1939 New York Yankees against, and don't bust my chops here because we had nothing to do with this, the 2004 Boston Red Sox, which, quite frankly, I don't agree that they should have been in the Final Four.
No, but they were scrappy.
They were.
The pitching staff was very good.
Well, the pitching matchup for this particular game was for the Yankees, Red Ruffing versus Kurt Schilling.
Ooh, sure. Kurt, 2 big game pitchers right there.
So here's the details.
All right.
First inning, top of the first, Johnny Damon singles, steals second, and scores on a Manny Ramirez single, and the Sox lead 1-0. Bottom of the first inning, Joe DiMaggio doubles, but is stranded at second base. Second inning, bottom of the second inning, George Selkirk and Bill Dickey single. Frankie Crissetti doubles them in, and the Yankees take a 2-1 lead.
Wow.
Third inning, David Ortiz, Big Papi, walks. Jason Veritek homers to right,
No way.
and the Red Sox regain the lead 3-2. Bottom of the fourth, Red Ruffing singles, if you can believe that.
No
Crissetti,
DH.
Crissetti walks. Keller singles in a run, and DiMaggio falls with a 2-run double, and the Yankees take a 5-3 lead. Fifth inning, Johnny Damon walks, Manny singles, and Big Papi crushes a 2-run homer to tie it up 5-5. Bottom of the fifth, there's a little threat. However, Bill Dickey grounds into a double play and ends that threat. Sixth inning, Joe Gordon triples and scores on George Selkirk's single, and the Yankees take a 6-5 lead. Top of the seventh, Kevin Millar singles. Bill Miller drives him in with an RBI double and ties the score at 6-6.
Wow.
Eighth inning, Johnny Damon singles, but gets stranded at first, no runs. Bottom of the eighth, Keith Folk takes over.
And he brought him in the 8th.
In the eighth.
Interesting.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is.
And he winds up stranding Crissetti and DiMaggio. Hold on a second here.
So what's the score?
All right, wait, just calm down here. Ninth inning. Veritek singles, moves up on a wild pitch. Bill Miller singles him home, and the Red Sox lead 7-6 in the top of the nine.
Right.
Bottom of the nine, with 2 outs. Joe Gordon doubles, and Selkirk drives him in to tie the game at 7-7. Extra innings.
Okay.
Johnny Damon leads off with a double, but he gets stranded at second after Manny Ramirez flies out.
Okay.
Bottom of the ninth.
No,
Keller
10th.
singles.
Extra innings, 10th.
Extra inning. I'm sorry. Bottom of the 10th. Keller singles. DiMaggio ropes a single to right. Keller advances to third. Dickey hits a sacrifice fly to win it, and the Yankees walk it off 8-7. Jason
Can I-
Veritek, by the way, went 3 for 4.
He had some big games.
Yeah, he
He's
did.
clutch.
So
So,
next week,
yep.
we have the 1927. This will be a classic. The 1927 Yankees versus the 1939 Yankees for the whole enchilada.
An all Yankee final.
What are your thoughts on this?
Can I-
Joe,
can I-
I know you probably
Can I do a
goofing on
couple
us.
things? Couple
Go ahead.
things. Maybe you can answer this question. So Folk came in the 8th. Did Folk pitch the 8th, 9th, and 10th?
It did pitch 3 innings, according to this.
So let me ask you a question. So I
Hold on.
get it.
Let me double check that. Hold on. Let me double
Okay.
check.
Yeah.
Because you never question AI. I never question AI.
Well, I always question AI.
Let's see.
I'm a writer and it's trying to take my job. So
Hold on. That's right. Yes, he did.
Okay, so how does you can ask your son-in-law that. I don't doubt the data. Okay.
Well, how about
But-
the single?
but
how
how
about the
do-
single?
Well, how does AI when Keith Folk didn't pitch 2 innings like probably the whole year,
Because it's
and now they're keeping him in for 3
the
innings?
same reason. The same reason
There's no way that's
the
correct.
same reason that they kept Pedro in the game when he faced.
I don't think that's the case because
Same
Keith
thing.
Folk is not Pedro. First of all,
Well, first
The
of all, no,
first
but
thing.
you have to understand this isn't just a
It
World
would have been
Series game.
Timlin. It would have been Timlin or Embry in the 8th, Folk in the 9th. If
I
it went
agree with
extra,
that.
somebody else
But
would
you have
come
to
in.
understand, this isn't just a World Series game. This is the greatest game of all time.
Doesn't matter. It's flawed. That's flawed.
Joe, your thoughts, please.
I'm staying out of this one, guys. Now that it's an all Yankees final, 2 Boston guys, I'm just gonna be an innocent bystander at this
Well,
point.
I'll tell you what we are going to do later on in the summer because we're going to get revenge here. We're going to do a Sweet 16 of the greatest NBA teams of all
Oh, that'd be
time.
neat. I'd love that.
Now, I think we're going to be shocked, John. I
Yeah.
think we're going to be shocked when the list comes out because obviously there's going to be Celtics teams in there.
Is this going to be an AI thing?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think there's going to be Celtics teams in there. However, I think some of the old Celtics teams are going to get left out.
I agree 100%. Yeah,
Right?
I think you're absolutely correct. They
I mean,
get left out now. Just
Yeah,
in discussion. Nobody ever brings up the olds because they say, "Oh, that was a different era."
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
with
the
all due
competition,
respect,
the
if
competition
you're watching,
wasn't great.
I don't know if you
Right.
guys have been watching that Celtics
I have been
documentary.
Celtic City. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. But you know something? Well, all kidding aside, and I love those teams, but the team with the teams with Kuzi and Leskatov, they would
Yeah.
get annihilated today.
It's
Annihilated.
different athletes, different
Right.
era, different size. Absolutely. I agree.
Joe, your thoughts on that?
Well, I would make the case that the physical teams of the 80s and 90s would put up a heck of a fight versus teams today.
That I
I-
agree with. That I agree with.
Joe,
You're talking
Joe,
about the Charles Barkleys of the world,
Oh,
and
I mean,
The,
Yeah.
the Pistons.
yeah,
Joe,
yeah,
you're
that's a good
100%.
point.
You're 100% correct on that. And I wonder if like I look at a guy like Kevin Durant, he would not have survived in the 80s and 90s. Now LeBron, big dude, he would have to change his game, and he would have been pounded a little more. But he's a big dude. He could have
Who's the
played.
guy? Who's the
Right.
guy?
Even Steph Curry. I mean,
Oh yeah, they would get crushed.
Oh,
Who's
yeah.
the guy for
you
Detroit
know,
that
Oh,
Bill
Johnny
Lambier.
Which one?
Bill Lambier? Yeah.
Lambeer.
And who
Lambeer
was
and
the other guy,
Mahorn.
the black guy? Because Johnny
Uh,
Most used to call him Mc
Mc,
something and Mc something.
McFilthy and McNasty. It
Yeah,
was Lambeer and
McFilthy and
Mahorn.
McNasty.
Rick Mahorn.
Rick Mahorn. That's what he
Yeah.
used to call them.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let's get
You're
back.
not going down the lane for an easy layup in those days. No.
And
Kurt
not even, and
Rambis.
listen, yeah, and not even just like, even like I looked those Indiana Pacer teams. They had the Davis guys. All the teams were physical, man. It was a different game back then.
All right, let's get back to Joe. We
All right.
went amiss. My apologies,
We did.
Joe.
We did.
But
Started with the whole
he doesn't
bicycle
mind.
thing.
He doesn't mind. Joe, I want to talk about this phenomena that's really giving me agita. It's called the Pokemon phenomena. I was at a card show down in West Palm Beach, Joe, at the Palm Beach Kennel Club. It was a big card show, probably 100 dealers, 120 dealers, 40 Pokemon dealers, 40. What's going on with Pokemon?
Well, yeah, when I was at PSA, we watched this sort of gradual ramp up. We started to go out to the Comic-Con shows, Gen Con. We started to promote it a little bit, and we just watched this build. And it's in large part I used the term generational cycle earlier. Well, the same thing is true in non-sports. So Pokemon was developed in kind of the later 1990s. So if you think about it, for someone today who's in their, let's say in their 30s, that's nostalgia for them. They grew up, and Pokemon was a huge thing when they
Right.
were growing up. And so now you're seeing that same thing happen in non-sports that's been happening in the sports collectibles world, forever.
Is it
Yeah.
as complicated, Joe? I mean, is the whole concept as complicated as it looks?
It's more complicated because let me tell you something. I have two boys that love it, and every night we do story time with Daddy. I cannot pronounce 90% of the names. I'm not. It's embarrassing. I'm sitting there trying to read to my 5-year-old and my 8-year-old, and I can't even read the book. It is. I mean, the sheer number of characters in the Pokemon world it's just ginormous, and but that's why they love it. There's so much creativity to it, and it's just sort of never ending. There's so many characters, so many things to look forward to. So I don't think, we're all sports guys, sort of grounded in sports. It's hard to comprehend just how big that brand is internationally. I think
Crazy.
years ago, when we were sort of pushing into that market while I was in PSA, I think I had read something that they were going over all the brands. So you have like the Star Wars brand, the Avengers brand. There, if I recall correctly, there was nothing close to Pokemon. Pokemon, in terms of just revenue internationally, there was nothing close to it. It's popular all across the globe. I mean, it's the real deal in terms of, popularity and collector following.
Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
stuff. I do have a question about some of the auctions that are coming up. Can you kind of give us highlight some of the big deals some of the big dealings that you guys have coming up?
Yeah, so our next big auction is the May 16th through the 18th. And the headliner in that auction, we were talking about physical 80s and 90s basketball, is arguably the finest Michael Jordan game worn uniform, both the jersey and the shorts that has come to market, and it's fresh. It's from the 1992-93 season, so it's the first three-peat of his
Okay.
career. It has already been photo matched to numerous games, numerous games. I mean, we're not talking 2 games or 5 games or 10 games, numerous games. The research and the cataloging is still underway. So we're going to finalize that here in the next week or two. But it's the classic road red, which is the style that, in your mind, when you think of Michael Jordan, you think of him in the road red uniform. It has tremendous game wear, and it has been photo matched. This is maybe the coolest part of it all. So that later that year, after the season was over, there was a Sports Illustrated cover that showed Michael Jordan walking away from the camera, and it simply said, "Why?" Because he had suddenly announced his retirement from the game. Of course, he came back and won 3 more and played more years.
Right.
But at the time, that was such a monumental moment because it caught everybody off guard. Well, guess what? He's wearing the uniform
Wow.
on that cover, in addition to all the games that it has been photo matched to. That's going to have a 2 million and up estimate. It is, I'm just saying this, look, we talk about baseball a lot here, but for a basketball collector, if someone was looking for an elite Jordan uniform, this is as good as it can get. It checks a championship year, photo match to numerous games, the Sports Illustrated cover. As a matter of fact, it is at this point in time, according to the third-party photo matching services, it is the only Jordan jersey to have been photo matched to any of the first three-peat, any of the seasons during the first three-peat. There could be more in the future, who knows? But at this time, it's the only one. So
Wow.
in those days, which is very different than today, in those days, basketball players generally wore two roads, two homes at best, something like that. Now they're taking off their jerseys after every game and doing jersey swaps. So the rarity, the period, you kind of check all the boxes. It's simply an outrageous uniform. So that is the clear headliner for our May auction.
Right,
JM?
right. Yeah. So, Joe, I mean, I touched on the National a little bit at the top of the show.
Oh, is that the one you're
Obviously,
not going to be at?
yeah, the one I won't be at, right. So Heritage obviously has a huge presence there. A couple years ago, you had the Mantle card down in Jersey. So when things come in now, how national focused are you? If a great item comes in now, are you kind of like, okay, we're not going to put that in any auction. We're going to hold that back. Sandbagging, we used to call it playing cards. You're holding back. But what's that like now as you get sort of 2-3 months out from the National?
Yeah, that planning starts way, way in advance. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
last year when we had the Babe Ruth called shot jersey, that
Right.
process, I mean, we took
Right.
the jersey in months, many months.
Right.
before
Right.
That national and before the summer platinum auction. So yeah, there's a lot of planning that goes into it, and it's also about strategic placement. So as a CD, if I'm working with a consignor, it's about figuring out, okay, which one of our platforms is best suited for this particular item in terms of timing and the level it's at in terms of value and what
Right.
so there's a lot of thought that goes into that. But as usual, I can promise we'll have quite the display already. It's only April, but I mean, already based on what's come in, we're going to have quite a display there. So, we look forward to seeing all the collectors out there.
That's a big part of your process. What you just mentioned too is, and not even just for the National or big items like that, but advising someone that comes to you with an item. Should I consign or sell? When to put it in? What auction to put it in? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think the way I put it when I'm talking to a potential consignor, I immediately put myself in their shoes. What would I do if I own this? What do I think is best if I own it? And so that plays a huge role, because the nice thing about working with any auction house, not just Heritage, is that we're on the same team. The more money the consignor makes, the more money we make, and vice versa. So we're rowing in the same directions. Our interests are aligned, and so we're trying to maximize value as best we can. So yeah, there's a lot of thought that goes into that. We're not simply taking something in and putting it in the nearest auction. Now, again, when you're talking to a potential consignor, they may have needs. They may say, look, I really need to sell quickly, so we move more quickly. Others are like, hey, I'm in no rush. What would you suggest? And that opens the door to the strategic discussion of, again, if I were in your shoes, if this were my piece, where would I place it? How would I do it? And so it really is a collaboration when you're developing that relationship.
Right.
We are chatting with our good buddy, Joe Orlando, Executive Vice President of everything, Heritage Auctions, again,
Everything.
President of PSA. I mean, an author. He's written
He
1,000
is.
books.
Yeah.
And by the way, Joe, that very first book that you wrote, well, what was it? I can't remember that coffee table book, the very first one.
The bigger one?
Yeah, what was that?
Collecting Sports Legends.
That was the first. That, honest to God, that was the first hobby book that I think I ever bought. And after that, if you recall, you and I, you weren't very happy with the printer, if I recall.
No, because that is correct. Because what he did is he created color variations for all the cards that we had pictured in the book. Like, that one's not supposed to look like that. So yeah, we moved on.
And I'll tell you, before we take a quick break, Jim, I'll tell you, when we wrote, Joe, obviously Joe with Lou, helped us. Joe co-wrote the book with us, the T206 collection, the players and their stories. And I knew jack about, what to do and how to do it. And after the book came out, Joe asked one question. Did you really have to use reprint cards?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, you said that. You
And
took some.
I
You
what
took
the
some
hell
heat
did
for
I know?
that. Yeah.
That was
yeah.
a bad on my part.
Right.
All right, Joe's in the house. We got one more segment. Hang in there. My bike is fixed. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on the tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden Auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. Highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, It has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Hey, I'm Mike Petroselli. If your company is looking for the best in marketing and promotional items, you'll hit a home run with Petroselli Marketing. With over 8,000 suppliers and 650,000 imprint-ready items, we can get your company the visibility it needs to get your maximum exposure. Whether it be office promotions, wearables, automotive, sports items, and everything in between, Petroselli Marketing can do it all. Our design staff will even work with you from concept to delivery and customize your products. At Petroselli Marketing Group, we will get your brand in front of your audience. Contact us at info@petrosellimkt.com or call us at 603-880-3202. That's Petroselli Marketing, where no dream is impossible.
So the question is, how does your company or organization do promotions? Imprinted products keeps your brand in front of your customers more than any other form of advertising. For the best on-time service and new ideas for your next project, give Petroselli Marketing Group a call at 603-880-3202 or email info@petrosellimkt.com.
You know, John, we have to hit him up for some swag. We don't get
Yeah,
enough
we need a little
from
swag,
him.
just a little something,
And
something.
we don't get enough from him.
You know,
You know?
a stress ball,
No,
you know, a
no,
pen,
I'm
a
thinking,
hat,
I'm thinking more like he's got some nice pockets, some
a
nice,
quarter zip, like a nice quarter
yeah,
zip or something.
some
Yeah.
fleece. That's what
Or
I'm thinking.
like swimming trunks for the summer.
Rico gave me one year. He's so cheap. It was his. He said, "Here, it's too big for me."
Had lint all over it, like the underarms
Jesus,
were all.
Rick, are you kidding me? By the way, just real quickly. So, he's still in Florida, right?
Yeah.
So he texted me a picture. He was smoking a cigar, and he's in Fort Myers, and he's in some gated community. So he's fishing fresh water. He texts me. He says, "I just caught a 30-pound bass." Right? 30-pound bass. And he's got a picture of it. And I'm saying, "Congratulations." I said, "Rick, are you sure that's 30 pounds?" And then his son Michael got in on it because he texted both of us. He says, "Dad, are you sure that's 30 pounds?" "Oh, yeah, I'm absolutely sure," right? 8 pounds. He is a piece
Oh
of
my
work.
God. He's a
Hey, Joe, I
character.
wanted to ask you, when we were chatting, you said you had a great story about 2 Grail tickets within a recent week. Again, proving that there's stuff still out there. First of all, it's not the ticket that I have, right? The one that I had for the opening day, Red Sox 1912, that I got screwed on. It's not that one, is it?
It's the story
Not that
again.
one. Not that
No.
one.
Okay. What do you got?
So no, I love these stories because when you see the fresh material come to market, again, the collector inside just gets excited. So in a 1 week span, we received a Grail ticket in sports and a Grail ticket in non-sports. We were talking about Elvis and some of the
Right.
outside that still appeal. There's crossover there. So first, I get contacted by a family that I wouldn't even describe as hardcore collectors, although they collected a little bit. They were Chicago sports fans, and they had season tickets to the local teams. Well, in 1984, when Michael Jordan made his debut, they went to the game. and they kept all 4 of their ticket stubs. Now,
Nice.
put that in perspective, and they were season ticket holders, so they're putting
Right.
the entire PSA population report for the season stub, which is the more desirable of
Yeah.
like Ticketron and box office and all this stuff. There were 7 in the entire pop report. They had 4, and all 4 of them now rank as the top 4 in the pop report. The highest grade before this submission was a PSA 3. They got a 4, a 6, and 2 8s. I will go on record right now and say that in my lifetime, I would bet the farm that that the 2 8s will never be beaten, because when you think about it, fulls have a better chance. The ones that don't go to the game,
Right.
that don't get handled, they have a better chance. You could make the argument of staying in better shape,
Right.
than the stubs do. So to have stubs in that kind of condition is remarkable. We're gonna auction off the first 8 in our summer platinum sale. So that's already, scheduled for that, and then spread the rest out during the course of the year. But just an amazing find. And that is at least one of the grails in the sports world, Michael Jordan's debut.
Well, hold on. Stop. Don't go to the next one. What's your guesstimate on those 4?
The 8s to me are at minimum 100 and up.
Really?
PSA 8s. I mean, the ticket market went way up and settled down. I mean, at one point, we sold a PSA 2 in the fall of 23, I think November of 23, for $58,000.
Are you serious?
So
Hey, Joe, back then they were still ripping. Are they ripped? Like
they're,
back then
they're
they would.
torn at there's like a perf, so they are.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
8 have a nice clean sort of tear, so
Okay.
it's not a rough kind of cut. The
Gotcha.
before in the 6, unfortunately, when the tear occurred, it did take a little bit of paper off the back of the ticket, so you can see that. So that accounts for some of the differential.
See, I would track the guy down at the ticket station and beat the hell out of him because he would just it was too
Do
quick.
you know, guys, what the funny thing, and I know you want to get to that other Grail ticket, Joe, but the funny thing is, like, those days are now probably gone.
Yeah.
Because everything is, what do I do? Put my phone can I send my phone to Heritage? You know what I mean? Now with the tickets, or either you print them out and they're on just a piece of paper. So it's kind of weird that's a bygone era.
Joe, before you get to that second ticket, is what's based on what John is saying, are tickets in general, paper tickets, going to increase as years go by?
Well, I like the idea is the further we get away from the ticket era, so to speak, the more it becomes like a time capsule. It's
Right.
So I like it from that perspective. The bad news is that as we look, we go into the future, if you're collecting certain runs of tickets, those runs are going to stop. So if you're a collector of, whatever, let's say there's no more Super Bowl, no more World Series printed tickets,
Right.
and you can't continue the run at some point. So, but I like the idea that it's a bygone era.
Interesting. Now, what's the second Grail?
But in the same week, you can't make this up. If you were trying to dream up, what would be a Grail ticket in the non-sports world? Immediately you start thinking about entertainment and what that might be. So you could make the case that one of them is the Beatles' US debut in 1964 in Washington. It's an incredibly rare ticket. This other gentleman had 3 fulls. Okay, 3 of them.
Wow.
And they're beautiful. They are, and with the original envelope on top of that. So he had the original envelope. So as the story goes, his wife, who has been deceased now for almost, I guess it's closing in on 30 years, her mother, so his mother-in-law, bought tickets for the 2 daughters, for the 3 of them, to go to this concert in 1964, and they ended up not going. But she had the foresight to just put them back in a memory box inside the original envelope. And those are going to be really interesting, because your guess is as good as mine. But to put it in perspective, Heritage in another one of our divisions sold a restored, like publicly disclosed, restored version of that ticket for almost $30,000. And these are 3 all original fulls in beautiful condition. We haven't received the grades back yet from PSA, but in 1 week, 1 Grail in non-sports, 1 Grail in sports. You can't make it up. But this is why it's fun to work in this industry and be a part of some of these great little.
It's really cool, man. Joe, we got
It's
about
really
a couple of
amazing.
minutes. We got about 2 minutes left. Real quickly, what's trending? Anything in particular trending, or is it just things are pretty much status quo as far as cards? Baseball, basketball, vintage, modern. Is anything trending in any direction that we should be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that there's really any major changes over the last few months or several months. I would just say that blue chip stuff continues to hold up, if not gain, compared to everything else. So again, we've talked about it before, but you see that gap sort of separating between the very best and then what is good or pretty good. The
Gotcha.
elite stuff
Joe,
is
anything with Ovechkin?
well, we have right now. We have the Ovechkin. It's kind of a customized auction for Ovechkin material, and so now that he's the guy for goals scored, he takes on a completely different meaning in the history of hockey. So
Yeah.
we're going to see how that affects all of his stuff, game worn, cards, everything moving forward. Gretzky's still a great one, but
Right.
now we have a
Right.
new champ at the top of the list for goals.
All right, one last question. If you want to get into it, what are some auction tips for consigners?
How much time do we have?
Oh, really? Is that a long one?
It's probably long, but I could touch on a couple things. Just cut me off. One thing I would say.
All right, Joe, we got to go. No,
Yeah,
just kidding.
all right,
Just kidding.
I'm out of here. No,
It's
kidding.
beautiful.
No,
Beautiful.
I'm actually going to put this together in a newsletter in May sometime in more detail. But I think there are certain things, certain maybe misconceptions that still are prevalent today. And it's just something I was thinking recently. You know what? I just feel like I would like to address these in a kind of a public way. So we're going to make it part of our newsletter. But for example, this idea that somehow the estimate is going to affect the outcome. Some people feel like, as a consigner, well, if you put a higher estimate, you're going to use a Jedi mind trick on the bidders, and all of a sudden they're going to pay more for that. It's
Yeah.
look at every auction Heritage has. You'll find dozens and dozens and dozens of lots that don't just outperform the estimate by a little, but by a lot. We had an Allen Iverson card in January that was estimated at 30,000. It went for over 700. So the point being that collectors, we're collectors here, Tom. Collectors, bidders, they're going to pay what they're comfortable paying, regardless of what the estimate says. But if anything, if you start the estimate too high, if you put an estimate that's too aggressive, it could actually have the opposite of
Right.
I could see that.
Because you're going to lose out on the build.
I could
Yeah.
see that. I could
Right.
see
You
that.
want that organic, natural competition to build over the 3 to 4
Right.
weeks, culminating an extended bid. And so I don't think enough consigners appreciate that. Many do, but some don't. And it's just something that I think you should be aware of. Look, the estimate, if anything, it's better to be slightly conservative than too aggressive. That would just be my suggestion.
All right. So with that being said, Joe, I'm going to consign to you my Holy Rosary Aces 8th grade basketball jersey that we won the Catholic Grammar School Championship with. And I think the estimate, I'll go low, $4, $5. Fair enough. Right?
Might have to send that to one of our competitors, Tom.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right, listen, we're out of time. Joe, you know what you mean to us. I don't have to get
Yeah.
into it. We love
You're
you.
the best.
You've
You're the
been
best,
great,
buddy.
great for all of us. And I have said this 1,000 times. If it wasn't for Joe Orlando, there would be no Tom Zappala or Ellen Zappala in the hobby today. So you, a long time ago now, Joe. It's been a long time. 16 years ago, you took a shot with us, and it paid off. Paid off for us. Paid off for you guys, and we've become more than anything good friends, and we appreciate that. So that's it.
What, you wanted me to comment on
No, I
that?
mean he could, he could say,
I mean,
Tom,
I'm not. Can I comment? I'm not sure Joe wants bringing you on his resume. I'm not sure that's a big thing, but I agree with everything you said about him.
With that being said, Joe, we love you. Say hi to the guys back at Heritage. Special thanks to Jeff Marrin. JM, we'll see you around town now.
You will. Let's get together, buddy.
And with that being said, Happy collecting.